Buddha was asked by a heavenly being, or quite possibly God himself, to teach Buddhism. This is a widely ignored fact that people who stray from Christianity into Buddhism never bring up. Why Buddha didn't teach about God. The West's preconception of Buddhism were shaped by those who had left the church and had denounced God in their lives. As for some, it was better that they renounced who they thought God was. This can be a necessary part in a path that ultimately leads to a reunion with God. The first to suppose is a passage about the start of Buddha's journey to teach the world what he has learned after attaining enlightenment. He was unsure as to what to do next, since he knew that what he had understood was so profound that it would be difficult for others to fathom. The god Brahma descended from his heaven and asked him to teach, pointing out that humans are at different levels of development and some of them will benefit from his teaching. So it was clear that Buddha knew of God, but why was it that his teachings didn't revolve around God? To understand the origins of Buddhism, we have to do our homework on Hinduism. The parallel to Christianity, of course, is experiencing and studying about Judaism. Although Hinduism was characterized by early Christians as a polytheistic religion, about half the modern Hindu population believe they worship one God and the various deities are all different facets of the same God. Hinduism is extremely diverse because at its purest form it is an individual searching for their truth. It is about you being on a journey to discovering who God is and what He is like, whether or not it involves what others tell them. Who God is to a Hindu is largely dependent on their personal experiences. Because Buddha knew of this tradition, God would not be a unifying part for his disciples or his teachings. In fact, Buddha knew that some people had such flawed conceptions of God that it would have been better for God not to be mentioned, or laid to be steered towards a more pure and virtuous path. Buddha didn't explicitly teach about God because a bad conception of God is worse than no conception of God. God in our modern context does not force any of us to acknowledge Him. Our lives become a testament to where we are with God. Every modern misgiving of humanity can be explained as a failure to follow the 10 Commandments, and to this end, I'm no better. To be honest, this pandemic has demoralized me. I've lost confidence in myself for people that are supposed to tell us the truth and the institutions that claim to have our best interests. The only thing that I haven't lost faith in is the salvation of God and the unconditional love that He pours out to His children. By no act of man is this love justified. It is a free gift that ensures that no human, no matter how low others have put them down to, starts at zero. But still, I'd hold on to the truth of what God has revealed to me rather than the doctrine born of political necessity and or worldly gain. The God of this universe is better than how He is portrayed in any institutionalized religion. God in my life has asked me to love others and see their humanity regardless of where they come from, who they choose to fall in love with, and whether or not they believe in the same thing that I do. The God I know is the one that pours His love freely onto this universe for any to receive. The one that never abandons you when you want to be in His presence. The one that asks you to lift others up at your personal expense for His sake. God does not force you to believe any religious doctrine. Rather, we find out who He is when we act on His behalf. He shows us the truth that we can never quite put into words, the truth that we can only experience when we are in His presence. God doesn't need anyone to tell you who He is. He will show you Himself, if it is your heart's intent for Him to be with you. Depending on where you are in your spiritual journey, finding out what God wants to reveal to you may mean letting go of other people's accounts of God. It may be reading the Bible or the holy texts beyond the Bible. It could be taking a few minutes or an hour to meditate. It could be a religion besides Christianity. There are many paths to God, and yours will be a unique path. If it isn't unique, then it really isn't yours. It might be that you have to let go and give up of your conception of God so that he can show you the part of him that he wants you to see. Of course, the implication here is that none of us will be able to see all of God, as our existence is bound to this universe while his is not. Beginning is letting go so that in the end you can be free. Buddhism is where we learn how to eliminate even our desire to sin. It is not asking you to worship a foreign God. There are many virtues and traditions in Buddhism that reinforces what God is trying to teach humanity. It was one of the many paths that God has sustained to this age, and it was the will of God for Buddhism to flourish. To be free is to relinquish our material desires and our preconceptions of God. To be filled with God, we have to first empty ourselves. To have everything, we have to choose to have nothing. Be someone, we have to be no one. The humble shall become exalted, and the exalted shall be humbled. To find the truth, choose to see what is contrary to your beliefs rather than pretending that it isn't there. The doctrine of Christianity being the only valid path of faith to God was a lie concocted by those who wish to present their will as God's will, what they want you to believe in as God's truth. It is a lie that puts bounds on a limitless God, and it is something that drives people away rather than towards God. Although I am not caught up with the modern affairs of the Catholic Church, I read in that 2019 Pope Francis signed a document titled "A Document on Human Fraternity for World Peace and Living Together" that stated, "The diversity of religions is the will of God." In this instance, the Catholic Church is indeed aligned with the absolute truth of God. This realization that was revealed in the Quran more than 1,000 years ago is necessary if humanity wishes to reach the next stage of human development rather than perish in this one. Violence is born of wickedness. Wickedness is born of intolerance, and intolerance is born of a closed-mindedness that stems from the insistence of a superiority in one's own beliefs, leading to a conclusion that there is not more that God can show them. And the root of that is pride and self-exaltation, both of which must be emptied should one persist to learn from the wisdom of God. As James said in the Bible, pure and undefiled religion in the sight of God and Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself unstained by the world. Romans 13:10. The God we perceive as selfish, egotistical, exclusive, limiting, uncaring, haughty, untruthful, or unnecessarily violent, then it is better for us to start a path in which no such God is involved. Such is the path of Buddhism, a reset that may allow you to one day discover the God that created all of us for who he truly is. Thank you for watching this video. Here are some ways you can connect with and or support me. Please like, comment, and subscribe, along with sharing it with your friends. And may God be with you, and let's work together as we bring to his kingdom, his truth, and his love into this world. I look forward to hearing from you.